And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents Conversations ATL. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. I'm excited about this next guest. She really needs no introduction. You all know Omegia Keeys as a best-selling author. She's an actress, producer, director, podcast host, and she's a great friend too.
You love saying that actor, and I'm like, no, filmmaker. But yes,
Okay,
I do.
she's she doesn't like all these slashes now. It makes the titles long. Oh, Mika, thank you so much for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thank you, and it's so great to see you in person.
In
again.
person,
Awesome.
I know.
Yeah.
She was asking me what it felt like. I was like, it feels good. I'm not moving here. Every place I go, people think I'm moving. I'm not moving, guys. I'm not. But I'm so excited about being back. And Omegia, we're gonna talk fractured, of course. And you guys, we're doing this a little different. So you all will see a link if you guys are on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube to the movie Fractured on Tubi. You can watch it for free. For free. No charge whatsoever. We do ask you, of course, to write a review. There's just a reviewer in me. She's not saying that. I'm saying that.
Click like on the film.
Oh, yeah, do that too. Click
Oh.
like too. Omegia, let's talk about the success of, this movie has just been going like crazy.
Yes.
What has that been like for you to see the response to Fracture?
Well, being on the most popular list for the first time ever, it kind of took my breath away. Like, you do everything to get to that point. So actually doing it, it's like, wow, it's so surreal. But I knew we can do it.
Yeah.
I knew we could, but finally actually doing it is just, I'm still taking it all in, because the fact that we're still on the those front pages of Tubi right now, we're still there. So that's the woo.
Yeah. And what I love about it, Omegia, because I know this isn't easy for either of us to do, you have taken the time to celebrate that, as you should. Every time I see the posts on Instagram, I think, I'm so glad she's able to take a breath. Because I know you're already working on the next project.
Yes.
But for you to take a breath and to celebrate it, talk to us about the celebration, because you've done so many other great projects before Fractured. What has it been like for you to say, you know what, I did that. We did that.
It's great. You have to stop and pat yourself on the back, because if you don't, it's going to get away from you. Time is going to continue to pass, and you're not going to feel like you're making any accomplishments if you don't. So that's why it has been important to and by celebrate, it's always just a short celebration, not long, because we are back into it. Working on the next thing. We are in the process. We're actually filming a docu-series right now too.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Before we get back to the feature in July. So we're doing that as well. But taking that moment to be, we did it. Like,
and it is so well deserved. Dr. Bama's joining us on Facebook. She says, awesome, good to see Omegia. Yes, I love her post. I know it's great to be able to see. And let me say something, Omegia. You and I didn't talk about this, but it's so funny how things work out. And I don't believe in coincidences. May is celebrated. Now think about this in relation to Fracture. Women's Health Month, Get Caught Reading Month, and Mental Health Awareness Month, all in May.
And it's the anniversary of when I published my first book.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, first book was published in 2007 in May.
Wow.
And I met you 2 months later.
And she's been stuck with me ever since.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about that, because Fracture, there's so many conversation pieces. And she and I have had some great conversations about Fracture. If you guys have not watched it, you have no excuse. It's free. Free on Tubi. So make sure you all click the link. You all will see the link with this broadcast to watch it for free on Tubi. Let's talk about how it began. For those who don't know, how did Fracture come about?
Fracture was a long time coming, because I wrote it as a short story for when we did Shattered. It was just a really short story, different storyline. What was that, in 2017? Yeah, because we were releasing in 2018. Yeah, I gotta remember when I did it. So having that and then going into it, like completely rewriting it into a thriller and making sure you have the perfect people to pull it off, because that lead role is a hard role to play.
Mhm.
So just getting the right people in place to do it and making sure, the quality of the film met the standards, because, every time you put out a film, things, you got to stay up on that quality,
Mhm.
get better. So it wasn't just about the writing and the film, it was making sure that everything, you're leveling up each time in order for your film to get selected for those bigger platforms.
Mhm.
When they're making their changes and pulling back on, oh, we're not just taking everything now. So it has been, the planning for it, it has been years in the making.
Mm. Did you feel as though we all have heard the saying, Omega, timing is everything? In the case of Fractured, considering what's happened, because at the time you wrote that short story, there was no Tubi.
Right.
So that opportunity where it is really blown up was not even there. Do you feel like the timing was just right now?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because at that time, the films were just going to Amazon at the time when I wrote it. And Amazon had just that same year had pulled back on how much they pay indie authors. I mean, I said indie authors, that too. They changed the book world too, but they changed it with film for how much we were making on film. So those of us that were making thousands per month, it dropped down to barely 100. So still going through revising and having it sit until the time was right. That was a challenge. And you can get dejected and things like that. But once Tubi came around, it breathed, new life. And I just quickly started dusting off stuff that I had there, rewriting, and let's go.
Well, and I think that's what's so good. And everyone knows I love Amazon, and Omega loves Amazon too. But the business is the business.
Yeah.
It is what it is. And so that's why we're not having this conversation on Amazon. I said to Omega, I want us to be able to have a full conversation about what was available that you guys can take advantage of for free with Tubi with this. Of course, I couldn't be able to do that on Amazon. So I'm glad to be able to say that. But let's just take a moment and talk about this. You are a best-selling author, an actor. You can see her on Amazon and on television shows and movies, including Selma. Okay, and she's a filmmaker and producer. Think about that for yourself. You have movies on Amazon. You have movies on Tubi. How does that feel? To go from having an idea, Omega, to now literally sharing it with the world.
You say Amazon and Tubi, but actually we are over on 22 different streamers right now.
Wow.
Yeah, but those are the biggest. But we're out on 22 streamers. Some of them are in different countries. Wow. So I want to talk about like the UK audience that I built up. Yes, I have the American audience, but to realize that you have fans in the UK, that's crazy to me. Like, very, very crazy.
Amiga, I'm so glad you brought that up, and not to interrupt you, but I had someone earlier talk about and it kind of made me think about recording artists I've interviewed that talk about they may not do well here, but they go overseas and the people just love them. What do you think it is that has brought that audience for you?
I think it's the diversity.
Gotcha.
Having something unique. People want a taste of the U.S. through a Black lens, because a lot of stuff that does do well overseas is done by Hollywood and stuff like that. So when you're watching indie films and from the U.S. and it's by us, they know that they're getting a more in-depth look into the true side of us. So I think that's what it is, because there are, even the UK is diverse as well. So it's people seeing people like themselves and wanting to look at it.
Love that. Love that. For those who are just tuning in, welcome. You all are watching Cyrus Webb Presents. I was about to say but you're watching it on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, and Instagram. So I'm indoctrinated, folks. But we're here with the one and only Omegia Keeys, talking with her about her journey, the year, the success of Fractured. But Omega, I have to say, a few things about you have been consistent since I've known you.
What's that?
You're a hard worker. And you do not shy away from tough topics.
True.
And you do that in your life as Omegia Keys, as well as through your filmmaking. So I want to ask you about that. Because even if we're taking something like Faded Reunion, which is more of a, I don't want to call it a rom-com.
It is.
But it's so much more than that to me, though.
Okay.
You know, well, let me tell you why, because you know I'm a nerd. So for me, it wasn't a rom-com for me. But let me tell you what it was for me. It was someone who was dealing with identity. And when it came to the actors, I mean, the actual actors in the film playing actors, you know, there was the idea of, you know, trying to find that thing for them, you know, because the journey of the struggling actor,
Yeah.
that kind of led to but also just the meanness of the world and how we deal with that.
Yeah.
And so to me, it was so much more than just, I know that's the way it's categorized, but even with that film though, even if we just talk Faded Reunion, those are tough topics to talk about. People don't like to talk about the grind of making it in your career. They don't like to talk about feeling some kind of way about your past and what you've done. What has it been like for you to bring up these topics in your projects?
I mean, it's easy for me. I mean, I pull from my own experiences, like my own experiences being, you know, in that corporate world or being in the military and being doubted for everything that you do, even though you're like the shining star,
Yeah.
but still having that doubt when you walk in, being a Black woman and have to deal with it. And then sometimes you have to go revisit your past, and people from your past are stuck where they're stuck at, you know, because a few years before Faded Reunion came out, I did have my class reunion. And I know that feeling of, you know, stepping back into, you know, that world. The school that I went to, it was 90% white. So it was having those hard topics about those experiences that I had. But, you know, of course, you know, adding my little extra to it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. But if we go to Fractured, which is the film that you guys, again, can watch right now, even with that film, there are some moments in it that, you know, really, I mean, I think, again, they're tough topics. One thing I appreciated, and I don't bring up race a lot in conversations that I typically have, but I appreciated having a not only supportive husband, but a Black supportive husband. We don't always see that in films. We don't always see a Black husband who's not cheating on his wife, that's out here trying to rob and steal. I want to talk about that because, you know, I think that's not talked about enough, not talking about with you, but out here in the world, when we talk about representation, us guys have that issue too.
Yeah.
You know, why was that important for you to give Ava someone like that?
Because it's important for people to see us like that. Black people can be in love. We can have happy relationships. We cannot have to live that struggle life. And that's the life that I live in my real life. So I thought it was important to share that. You know, I have 4 brothers, and they're jokesters, but they're kind and caring. They're there for their kids. They take care of their, you know, they're like, it's an everyday part of their life. It's not just sometimes with them. So I wanted to share that with it. I felt that it was important to have that. She didn't have to be married to some other nationality. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but they show that a lot more than they show us together. So I wanted to show us together in a loving, caring relationship.
Love that. So you are working on other projects. Fractured is the one that is, again, we're really talking about today. I knew you were working on another film. I saw that posted about on Instagram. But tell us about the other projects you're working on.
Oh, well, we're currently in the midst of filming a docuseries. Well, 2 docuseries. It's funny. You know, the true crime docuseries. We're filming that. And we're filming Real Paranormal, which is a docuseries on paranormal with a lot of, you know, Black people and other people of color, our experiences, because we really don't get this unless you're a celebrity. We don't get to talk about those experiences because we bring something else to those type of stories. And of course, we have our next thriller, Beyond Suspicion, and then we're actually filming 2 features back to back.
Wow.
We're filming Beyond Suspicion, and then we're rolling into Ancestry right after that.
Wow. A busy year. So what advice do you give? I know they reach out to you probably A lot.
Yes.
What advice do you normally give aspiring filmmakers, but also maybe even those already in the industry, Amiga, about, I don't know if I should say about getting on the journey or getting on the journey correctly?
Something that I saw this morning, because we all can use a boost. Don't stop believing.
Mm-hmm.
Don't stop believing, and don't stop putting yourself in those positions to get it. And everybody's not going to be there for you for your ride. Everybody's not going to believe in you, but you got to believe in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Believe in yourself. And we, in the age of information, there is no reason that you can't Google everything that you need to know. Don't expect people to hand it to you. Go out there and research everything that you need to know about where you want to be. And that's filmmaking, author, any type of business that you want to be. Research everything and quit depending on everybody else to do it for you. Because if you want this, you will go out there and you will get it on your own.
Uh-oh. Guess I heard that. You heard what she said. That's right. That's right. Gary Vee talks about that all the time. The University of Google. It's right there, you know. And I think that is the thing. Amiga, I've said to you all the time, I'm so proud of you.
I'm so proud of
And
you.
I want to say this too. I'm so glad to call her a friend. And she's a true friend. We've known each other for years.
Yeah.
We've rooted for each other along the way. And every time I see your post, I get excited because I know the work you put in.
And that's how I feel about you. That's
And
the same. Like we drive each other. Every time we see one doing something, it's like, oh, it just gives us, you know.
Angela says, I did hear. That's
Yes,
right.
ma'am.
You heard the lady. Amiga, let them know. How can they stay connected with you?
You can follow me at Omegia Keeys everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
That is the biggest one. You can follow my business pages at AF Media 1922 or Like a Boss Studios.
There you go. Amiga, thank you again for spending some time with us.
Thank you so much, Cyrus.
And we thank you, our viewers, for tuning into this episode of Cyrus Webb Presents. Until next time, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Yeah, I did.